Welcome back. Now, the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation, the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, the Robert Sobukwe Trust, and many other civil society organizations have held talks aimed at establish a national dialogue to discuss the country's future under the government of national unity. Now, as South Africa prepares to set up this government of national unity, pending still, of course, who would be part of that cabinet, civil society groups have joined forces to establish this dialogue aimed at restoring the legitimacy, credibility, and enhancement of a South African democratic project. Joining us, I'd like to welcome the Executive Director of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation, Neeshan Balton. Neeshan, good day. Thank you so much for joining us here on Talking Point on Hilaal TV.
Good afternoon and greetings to your viewers.
Neeshan, let's discuss, of course, civil society as a whole. When these discussions were happening, obviously amongst political parties, do you feel that the heads of this GNU missed the trick in not getting involved, civil society like yourself?
No, not necessarily. We didn't contest elections. We had no right to be part of their deliberations because civil society was not going to feature in the composition of the government. So we had no such expectations at all. I think the statement of intent issued by the ANC and the DA that was signed, we were happy that it made reference to the need for a national dialogue that would include those outside of political parties. But we had no aspirations or no hope to have wanted to have been part of the processes of political parties who rightfully had gone through an election and who now had to discuss the sharing of power amongst themselves.
Neeshan, as we discuss right now, of course, we don't have a cabinet. Discussions are happening between political parties, and there are a bit of concerns among citizens to where the future of the country is going right now. As the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation, how important is it that consensus is found, number one, whoever the agreement is between the parties, and number two, a sense of stability is created in order for the country to move forward?
I'm not sure that the ordinary person in the street shares that anxiety. I think it's a misplaced anxiety at this point in time. And I say that because we are in unknown territory. And this clamor for wanting the president to finalize his cabinet it places undue pressure on him and those involved, when what is required is time for them to think through all of this carefully to arrive at the best possible formulation of a cabinet and the best possible people in it. I was saying to somebody today that the lights are still on. We also have seen, because there isn't a cabinet, the numbers of blue light brigades on our roads have all but disappeared. So there are things to be thankful about, and not having a cabinet. The fact that I think Parliament, the State of the Nation address will take place on the 18th, does indicate that there are some timelines that have now been set for this to be completed. But I really hope that this obsession amongst some for a cabinet to be finalized could just be dampened for a bit. It will happen. It has to happen. Give the president time to do what is necessary.
And of course, to add to that, South Africa is in a Cricket World Cup final, so there's definitely something to be grateful there, Neeshan. Let's talk about this dialogue that the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation, Thabo Mbeki Foundation, the Robert Sobukwe Trust, maybe you can add other names if there are others that are part of this dialogue. Talk to us about why this is very significant in terms of fostering not just nation building, but also at the same time an awareness of where we are going in the future of this country.
So other foundations included in this is the Chief Albert Lutuli Foundation, the Desmond and Leah Tutu Legacy Foundation, the Jakes Gerwel Foundation, the Oliver and Adelaide Tambo Foundation, this Robert Sobukwe Trust. Then you've said the Steve Biko Thabo Mbeki. There's also the Mlambo Foundation. In the audience yesterday was the F.W. de Klerk Foundation and one or two others. These are all legacy foundations named after people who made a contribution to either the fight against apartheid and to the building of a democratic South Africa. I think what we've all come to realize is that the problems of this country are so big and so deep and so far-reaching that it is impossible for government to solve it all on its own. It is impossible for political parties to solve it on their own. And also it is impossible for business, labor, faith communities, or civil society on their own to resolve any issue meaningfully. What is really required is the equivalent of what if you have a government of national unity, you need a country of national unity. Unity focused on solutions to the core and critical issues of this country, but in a way that identifies the problem and also specifies who must do what, according to what time frames, and how they will be accountable for the delivery of their responsibilities. So that's really where we are coming from. It kicks off from an election that didn't give a mandate to govern one particular political party, has opened up a space for ideas across party lines and across ideological lines. And for civil society, this is a welcome development because it allows us to make entry points and contributions beyond one political party. But we also we have realized that the issues are far too big for anybody to address on their own. Hence the call for a national dialogue that results in some kind of a national pact that includes government as well as those outside of government.
Neeshan, in this week I had Moeletsi Mbeki, and he spoke quite vividly about the importance of civil society organizations like yourself. How important in a democratic South Africa 30 years on from, that very first elections in this democracy of ours, and talk to us about how important civil society has played that role in not just fostering nation building, not just holding those in power to account, but also creating that awareness that there is other forms of organizations in South Africa that can play a huge role in shaping the future of this country.
I put it this way to a number of forums. If civil society organizations, relief organizations had to stop the feeding that they are doing today, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, would go without food. If civil society was stopped doing the kind of literacy work that they do across the length and breadth of the country, many hundreds of thousands of young people would not benefit from enhanced literacy programs that are out there. If civil society did not do the kind of observing work around this election, in which I think close to 3,000 or 5,000 independent observers were deployed across the country, it would have impacted on our ability to say that this was free and fair elections. So there is no part of life in South Africa where civil society in its broader sense are not involved in and make meaningful contributions. At a level of political civil society, it has kept the fires burning on those who are in government. It has kept the fire burning on issues of corruption, of state capture, on paying of grants, and every other issue where government has failed or political parties have failed. Civil society has in some way or the other kept them to account. So it is an indispensable part of our democracy, one that I don't think is fully appreciated. And you only have to go to countries where civil society is suppressed, where its voice is muted, to understand its contribution to democracy and why it must be treasured in this country.
Neeshan, thank you so much for joining us here on Talking Point on Hilaal TV. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
That's Neeshan Balton, the executive director from the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation. Big weekend this weekend for everyone in South Africa, of course. It is the T20 Cricket World Cup final, the Proteas against India. And I call on everyone, every South African, to get behind the boys as they look to lift their first ICC title since 1998. It's been a long time. Let's get behind our boys, and good luck to the Proteas. Well, that's all we have for you here from Talking Point. From Monday, I'll have a brand new show for you. Do stay tuned here to Hilaal TV, as I will be bringing you that on a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And Talking Point will, of course, remain on a Wednesday for the extended 48 minutes. From myself, Ross Patel, the rest of the team here in Johannesburg, do have yourself a good and a safe weekend. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.